Hello again, Sandwich. I'm Greg Anderson, and welcome into another episode of ATS. That is Ask the Sup, or as I like to call it, it's Dr. Joe's academic therapy session. This is where I get the real scoop on the Sandwich School District, the behind-the-scenes look, if you will. I ask the real questions, and then I monitor to see how many deep breaths Dr. Joe takes before answering my questions. Let's get started, Dr. Joe. Good to see you again.
Great to see you.
Joe Maruszczak, you are in the house, and we have so much to talk about.
We clearly do.
Yeah, I normally would like to say, well, what do you want to talk about? But I'm gonna, I've got all of my notes here.
I'm seeing multiple pages.
This is a lot.
This is a lot.
So, good. How are things going?
Things are going very, very well. I think it's been a super successful opening to the school year. Things are going really, really well.
Yeah.
I think I was at Forestdale the other day. I think we're actually up to like day 48 or something. So we're already quarter done with the school year, which is just mind-blowing to me. But very, very successful, very positive.
Good. Excellent. You have been working on the, you're just coming off of the strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about that.
Yep.
And by the way, he came in with a nice prop, which I love. This is nice.
Hard copy, yes. Learning and leading.
This is very nice. So
yes.
I want to talk to you about this, but thank you for bringing that in. The fiscal year 27 budget, you guys are just making the, in the start of that whole process.
Yeah.
It seems as if, even from the outside, business world, expenses are pretty high, particularly when we look at the cost of money, but also medical expenses, premiums, all of that. So it looks like this is going to be a little bit of a clunky process.
Definitely a tighter budget process.
Much tighter process. I want to talk about two areas. The increase of expenses as it comes to you thinking about the next budget, but also capital expenditures. First, expenses. Initial projections are showing that healthcare premiums are going to go into double digits.
Yeah.
Like serious increase.
Yeah.
Given those pressures, what strategies do you have in your mind at this very early stage to either offset, to compensate? Where's your head as it relates to those types of financial pressures of expense?
I think what you do is you look at where are there places in your operational budget where you can create efficiencies, right? You take a look at your programming. I mean, when push comes to shove, the first thing that you protect is the instructional core, the core academic teachers, the bare minimums that all kids need with regard to literacy and numeracy and so on. You protect that. But you also, you first look at your materials and supplies, you look at technology and so on, because when it comes to making a decision about some type of technology versus somebody who's actually providing instruction or services to kids, the person providing the instruction or services always trumps anything else.
Right.
So you take a look long and hard. Just this week we put out all of the budget spreadsheets to our principals, to all of our cost center heads. And my charge was, with regard to materials and supplies, your best case scenario of what you're going to submit to me is level funded. Not level services, level funded. Because I think the biggest piece, the biggest challenge is always going to be staffing. And as far as looking at what our contractual obligations are as far as those increases.
Yeah.
With regard to the staffing piece, again, you look at where there's efficiencies. Are there places where, because of maybe an enrollment decrease, you go down by one class, or you don't offer something maybe at the middle high school that may have low enrollment.
Yeah.
But you always have factors. We've to date, and it's still very, very early, we already have 6 retirements. Your retirements tend to be people who have longevity, so they're kind of on the higher end of the
Yeah.
scale. You look at how much you budget to replace them and so on. So I liken it, I always say, a budget is like a 1,000-piece puzzle. It's not just one thing, it's numerous things that you put together to solve it.
When you talk about we talk about the capital improvement funds. Bill Jennings had indicated that you're probably looking at, there's probably $1 million
Sure.
that's going to be spread amongst the district and the town.
Correct.
Are you concerned?
I'm always concerned with that, but I also know what the fiscal reality is as far as if it's going to be a tight budget cycle for both the schools and the town, largely due to some of those healthcare insurance increases. Unfortunately, you have to bypass some of those things. And, unfortunately, FY27 isn't the first time that that's happened.
Yeah. Is all of these dynamics, the pressures, and pressures are always there, but this is just not an extreme situation, but when you do look at these expenses and you do look at limited funding, does all of this kind of calculate in your mind of, should Sandwich as a school district be on its own, or does it make you think about regionalization? Does that at all come into your head?
I think regionalization would probably enable our community and other communities to find greater efficiencies, but I'm also a realist in saying, there's trade-offs that come with that. For example, thinking about, say, hypothetically, we were to regionalize with Mashpee and Bourne, just as a completely hypothetical example. You've got the reality of what would that look like as far as where students would be traveling and what kind of efficiencies would we be saving with regard to facilities or grounds and so on. So there's that piece, but then there's also the two magic words of local control. There's many regional school districts that I liken them to a forced marriage. Right? And they're not necessarily a happy, functional marriage.
Right.
Okay, but for 10 years,
You were with one.
I was in Mendon Upton Regional, both wonderful communities, but two communities that had very different points of view with regard to budgeting and philosophies and so on. So there was times that, bringing people together and working those pieces out were very, very challenging.
Yeah.
So, and again, you don't have to travel very far to see examples like Dennis Yarmouth or Monomoy.
Right.
That's not all peaches and cream either, and there's dynamic tensions between those communities. So,
is there any talk of regionalization in front of you?
No.
No. Okay.
I mean, it's posited from time to time.
Right.
It comes up, but nothing official. Nothing officially from any of the communities that, hey, this is something that we should seriously look into.
Yeah.
Could it come at some point in the future, if there is sustained economic challenges or there's additional challenges around enrollment? Yeah, I think it's in the realm of possibility.
Yeah. How you feeling about enrollment?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. We had a slight decrease, maybe in the ballpark of about 1.2%. But overall, it's fairly stable.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And you're feeling good about going into the next school year?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's shift topics. The Fund for Sandwich worked with Senator Fernandez. $30,000 came your way through a legislative appropriation. That's pretty awesome. Why is this important? Tell me about it.
I think it's really important because I think first and foremost, the folks on the Fund for Sandwich really cannot be commended enough. You talk about just kind of a grassroots effort of people who are deeply invested in our community, smart, well-networked people who are really looking to give back to the community. I cannot thank them enough. And I think they saw an opportunity with Senator Fernandez, who I think there was communication between them and the senator with regard to, it specifically was a fair share amendment legislative appropriation, the fair share amendment being, the millionaire's tax.
Yeah.
And basically was looking for a project that would support the schools, but had very, very clear connections to the community. So as a result, we had started, and really the brain trust behind this is Forestdale principal Kristen Tino. This whole project about really revitalizing the school-wide garden, which is in front of Forestdale. Yeah. So his vision was, let's get this up and running. Let's do this correctly. Let's have 34 raised garden beds, one for every single classroom there, pre-K through 2. Let's do this right with irrigation, with the electrical power. They threw in a couple frog ponds for good measure. It's right adjacent to the outdoor classroom. So the vision is to have something that is interdisciplinary, where kids could learn about, the life cycle of plants. We've also been working with the Wampanoag tribe, who are coming in to teach kids about ancient farming techniques.
Yeah.
We have a great connection, and I'd like to recognize Nancy Crossman and the Sandwich Gardening Club, which gave us a really generous donation for appropriate size gardening tools for little kids. But then also connection with the CAL, or the Center for Active Living, so that senior citizens can work during the summer months to help these gardens remain tended to.
Yeah.
So I see it as something super positive. As I said during the Fun for Sandwiches event the other night, I think this is the type of stuff we need to do more of with kids in the school, just getting them outside, that whole interdisciplinary piece.
Yeah.
But also, to me, the really important piece is the connections with the community.
Is this $30,000 expected to fully fund the project?
It doesn't. It funds probably about 75% of it.
Where does the balance come from?
The balance comes from, we actually have an allocation of money that comes in on an annual basis that's dedicated to STEM projects from the power plant. So we do have some external funds that we get as direct payment that is also going towards that.
But is there any contributions that you're expecting? Any contributions in kind, fundraising, anything like that? Or do you think
at this point, no. But like I said, we did get that contribution from the Sandwich Gardening Club.
Yeah, right. Let's talk about this, my friend.
Sure.
Really good stuff. So this was like 6-7 month.
Yeah, we started
planning
in January of this calendar year, and we wrapped it up in early July.
What makes this? Let's unpack this a little bit. Tell me what makes this different from others that you've done here.
Well, I think it represents a 5-year blueprint. Again, I get it that strategic planning isn't exactly the most fascinating thing that people talk to and get really, really excited and charged up about strategic plans. But I'm a big believer that you need to lead with a mission. You need to lead with a vision, particularly come budget time. And I'll go another layer. Even if it's going to be a difficult budget, you really should have goals, and you should be able to go back to what are your goals and how do they support the vision of what you want for this organization.
Right.
And in our case, what we want for all 2,125 kids.
And it's not just an academic exercise; it's a business exercise.
Correct.
I mean, you are running a business.
A $40 million business.
A $40 million business. How do you see this strategic plan enhancing, if you will, day-to-day classroom impact?
we've got 4 overarching goals. You know, I call them the big rocks. They're known as strategic objectives. Okay, and the very first one is around teaching and learning. It's about what kind of systems in place do we have to consistently review our curriculum and revise it. But then the second piece is, what are we doing to improve instruction, and particularly what we refer to as deeper learning, where kids are consistently at all levels having more opportunities to apply their learning, and in many, many cases, apply their learning to real life contexts, to real life applications.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest piece. The second one, strategic objective, is around supports for all students. What are we doing to ensure that we have our act together to ensure that if a kid is falling behind academically, or they need additional support socially, emotionally, or behaviorally, we have the people, we have the programs, we have the services in place for all of that.
Yeah.
The third strategic objective, which is around climate and culture, but school and community, specifically zones in on what are we doing to ensure that every single one of our kids and also their families have a strong sense of belonging to their school and to the district. And then the larger piece is really, what are we doing to foster more community connections?
Yeah.
What are we doing to make sure that the school side and the town side, but think about, you know, the work, the amazing work that, say, the Chamber of Commerce does.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't tapped all the possibilities, all the connections that we possibly can.
Yeah.
This blueprint kind of envisions, what are we going to do to increase those connections?
Yeah.
And then the fourth piece is around capital planning and facilities.
Yeah.
As I say, bluntly, a little facetiously, I'll tell people, I don't think any time in my lifetime a new school is going to be built in Sandwich. And I'm not saying that negatively or cynically, but I just think that's the reality. Okay, and we can kind of accept that, but the reality is we have a high school that was built in 1976. We have 2 elementary schools that were built in like 1989, 1990. Just like your home, you've got to continuously invest in it. And also really the implications around investment in instructional space that's consistent with the realities of a 2025 learner.
Yeah.
You know, the case in point that I always use as an example is, you know, we've got a ton of kids that their parents are products of the Sandwich Public Schools. We've got kids that have grandparents that are products of the Sandwich Public Schools. I can tell you, we've got kiddos at Sandwich High School right now, as we speak, who are in a biology or a chemistry class, that lab space is the same exact lab space that possibly their aunts, uncles, or even grandparents were.
Wow.
So, again,
and the same carpet.
well, we're acting aggressively at our 2 elementary schools to replace that. Thank you for bringing that up, Greg. But yeah, to your point, you know, we've got to keep up with these things, and part of it, honestly, and you know, we talk about specific outcomes. This is more than, hey, we just need to throw money at these things. This is also about our own internal accountability. How well are we cleaning? How well are we maintaining our buildings and grounds?
Yeah. So there's the strategic plan, and then there's the district action plan.
Yeah.
Separate.
Yeah, the district action plan is an annual piece that kind of gets more granular on the goals and objectives that are in our district strategic plan.
And there are 7 specific action plans, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so how are those 7 determined?
So typically what we do is, first and foremost, you have the conversation at the core district strategic planning team, which was 38 people,
Yeah.
parents, students, school committee members, teachers. But typically, we'll get their feedback, but then usually right after school ends, myself and our district leadership team, we kind of do a 2-day retreat where we just kind of get away and we map out what the next year looks like. And we map out what should we prioritize.
What, when you look at the areas of prioritization and you think, okay, like in those 2 days, are there things that are put in the parking lot, like that's important but not as important?
Correct.
Can you give me an example of some that didn't necessarily land in those 7 that are also important?
Which didn't make the cut for 25, 26?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see now. Well, going with something that's concrete and thinking about facilities and planning, one of the major goals for this year, which we're making really great progress in, is doing a facilities condition assessment.
Oh, I've got that.
So
how'd you know that was the next thing I was going to bring up?
Great minds think alike. So we have a architectural firm called Habib and Associates. I believe they're out of Norwell, who are doing that work. Some of the outcomes after that, as far as doing a communication and PR campaign, maybe some of that will begin towards the end of the school year, but I think some concrete plans after that work will definitely be on the docket for 26, 27.
Okay, so that was one that you still had to let it become something.
It becomes something that's sequential.
Yeah. So let's talk about that facilities condition assessment. This is the outcomes will really help you prioritize what is necessary as it relates to school buildings, grounds, everything. Does this assessment come from a regular cycle of review that the district does, or did something trigger this for you to say, we got to call this group out of Norwell and get them involved?
I think that's a great question. I think it was triggered by numerous discussions. I do have to say that the current school committee, at least, I'm in my 4th year now, they have made addressing longstanding facility needs a high priority. I would also have to give credit to our town's finance committee. I typically present not only the budget to them, but also the capital requests, and you've got some folks on that committee that are very thoughtful about this, and they look at it from the perspective of, okay, we understand that you have needs, but what are those prioritized needs, and then what is the long-term vision around maintenance? So to their credit, we got word, it was towards the end of the summer, I believe, in August, that they really pushed for this allocation to be made to fund the facility needs assessment. I think the town also wants to take a look at its numerous needs as well, and I think they're looking at some other solutions. But Habib and Associates is a great firm in that they do this work. They do this work with schools all the time.
Yeah.
It'll be a pretty comprehensive report, a lot of visuals, a lot of pictures of everything. They literally will go into every single classroom in all 3 of our buildings. They will do a deep dive into our grounds as well. And essentially the long and short of it is putting everything into one of 3 buckets. Bucket 1, this is something that needs immediate addressing, in the ballpark of the next 1 to 3 years. Then you're going to have to act on this in the next 5 to 10. And then, the last bucket is kind of like nice to have.
So are these building facility systems related, or does this report at all speak to whether spaces are adequate for today's 2025, 26
All of the above.
students?
So
Okay.
the intent is to do all of that,
Okay.
as far as to look at where do we have deficiencies, but then to also look at our educational specifications. Do you have appropriate space to get to the types of learner outcomes that you want to get to?
Yeah. When do you expect the report?
We've been told by the end of this calendar year, which would be perfect.
Yeah.
As the whole budget cycle ramps up in January.
How do you get those findings out to the greater community outside of, I'm sure, a presentation to the school committee?
Yeah, I think we will do formal presentations to the school committee, the finance committee, and then also the select board. But I think, we'll be very transparent as far as putting it on our website. We're now using a new tool called ParentSquare, which we've gotten very, very positive feedback as far as parents can customize it so that if you want your information through a traditional email, if you want it through a text, if you want it through the app, and so on. So I think we'll push that information out there. Plus, we'll also use social media.
Let's talk about the athletic fields. A lot of buzz that there's some changes, improvements, things happening. Can you break some news here? Give me some goods on what is going on.
Yeah, no, I think it's more attention. It's more TLC. We on July 1st, we had a new athletic director, Michael Ryan, who actually lives in the community. His fifth child actually was born this week. As I told him, like, Mike, you can field the basketball team now.
Yeah.
Right. But a young, high energy guy who very much is putting attention to detail. So things like this, as we speak this week and then next week, all of the high school fields, natural turf fields are having core aeration and reseeding. I'm told that they hadn't been fertilized in 5 years or so.
Wow.
So he's doing that with the top dressing. So he's looking at a comprehensive turf management project.
Okay.
We're looking to, it's kind of interesting, at this week's school committee meeting, we were discussing some of our capital requests, and they're pretty modest in my humble opinion. But there was a couple impactful ones. We're putting in a request for $100,000 to upgrade the girls' locker room at the middle high school. School committee meets 3 or 4 times a year with a group of students as part of a school committee student advisory group. And one of the feedbacks is, what can we do about the girls' locker room? It's just tired and, So I think that's a really smart investment. But another investment that Michael put forward was $50,000 for a field line painting robot. Robot. So he puts this forward to me. He kind of shows me all the promotional material.
Like a Zumba type?
Exactly.
Or
same, a little
Roomba,
larger.
yeah.
It's probably about the size of like the chair you're sitting in.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? $50,000 for a stupid robot?
Yeah.
The technology, Greg, of this thing. But then I started to do a deeper dive, connected with we have 2 full-time grounds personnel, Chad and Brian, connected with Chad and Brian. And I said, okay, guys, no smoke here. Be 100% honest with me. Talk to me about the man hours that you put into lining the fields.
Right.
And very honestly, spring and fall seasons, it's probably a good 8 hours a week. So just kind of, crunching some of those numbers, but then, him bringing through like, this is the machine that we use, oh, by the way, I have to mix the paint, and this is what the mixing the
yeah.
paint is. And then we kind of go old school with measuring tapes, and then we use the lines and the bobs and so on.
Oh my God.
Versus like this whole setup on an iPad using GPS coordinates and mapping it out and so on. So it's like,
So is that going to happen?
yeah, it's right now, we're still considering everything, but I do support it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What about the tennis courts?
So we are in the process of getting some different quotes, and it's our intent, as we discussed at Wednesday night's school committee meeting, to put something in to request CPC funds to either pay or partially pay to get them redone. I think, unfortunately, it's now 8 years ago, 2017, they were resurfaced, but I think we're at a point now with the number of cracks that they're going to have to be demoed and carried out, and it needs to be re-leveled.
Because they're not safe.
No.
They're not safe.
No.
Let's talk about over at Oak Ridge, principal search. First round didn't yield you what you were looking for.
Yeah.
Where are you now, and what lessons learned from that first round are you applying going forward?
Great questions. Really, really good questions. I think it was a really, really difficult piece there was the number of candidates, first of all, the number of candidates that applied, but then the number of qualified applicants that were selected for interview. And then after that process, you had a situation where you had somebody drop out and so on. So it really wasn't a competitive process by any stretch of the imagination. So I think in looking at, I think we're going to have to rethink a lot of things. I think bringing in Kevin as an experienced veteran principal who also has a lot of connections, started his career as a teacher within our community, also worked as an administrator in our community, very much is acting in a mentoring role right now. I think that was a wise move. I think we're going to look at a lot of different possibilities moving forward, whether it be a search, whether looking at some of our own internal talent, and probably have an announcement a little bit later in the year.
Do you rely on external recruitment firms to fill those positions?
We used a posting service known as School Spring, which we post all of our positions in. Plus, internal networks of superintendents, networks of principals, and so on. It's just...
when do you want to get that position filled?
By the conclusion of this school year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is... I think a lot of these administrative positions, superintendent down, they're becoming more and more challenging, and the proverbial pool is becoming more and more shallow. But I also think we also have some of our own internal challenges here on Cape Cod, as far as just how big your pool is going to be here, some of the challenges of housing, and so on.
Are you paying enough?
In my humble opinion, yes, we are.
So you're able to draw people from off Cape who would
and what we
drive.
do is for any position, any opening, you look at comparable districts, you look at geographically similar districts, what they're paying. We're definitely not at the very top, but I would say that we're highly competitive.
I have about 17 more things to do.
No problem.
If we can talk for another hour or two, that would be great. No, very quickly, I got a couple things I want to go to. Tell me about ParentSquare. What problem is that solving with this new technology that you put in place?
Sure. I like the fact, the real impetus for moving forward with ParentSquare was through a lot of good, well-meaning, well-intentioned teachers. We got a lot of feedback from parents that, hey, I got 2 or 3 different kids. They're in these 2 or 3 different schools. I feel like I'm getting bombarded with different emails at different times of the day, or I have to go to different apps. I have to go to Remind, I have to go to Class Dojo, and so on.
Yeah.
So we kind of agreed, like, hey, we need to have one universal platform.
Yeah.
So the thing that's great about ParentSquare as a universal platform is the fact that parents have choice, like I was saying before. If they choose to get their communications through email, great. If they want their communications through text, great.
So they can select this.
Absolutely, in their settings. Or if they want to have the ParentSquare app on their phone and it just pops up as a notification, that's fine. It has a default setting of digest. So say you got a kiddo at Forestdale and you got a kid at Oak Ridge, you will get one notification at 6:30 saying, here's a summary of all the notifications that came, and you can just click on which ones you see. Because some people were reported, like, I can't keep track of these emails.
Yeah, they would miss things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another piece too is the accessibility piece. So it also is automated that you can set your settings for whatever native language. So, and again, with AI, the technology, it's not like Google Translate was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's solid translation. Also for families that may be, where we might have a parent that is visually impaired, it also is completely accessible. So
When did it roll out?
We just rolled it out the start of the school year.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's going well?
Nothing but positive feedback.
Excellent. Last night, changing the subject, last night on Boston 25 News, they did a story about cell phone bans, use in the classroom. The Commonwealth, it seems there are schools that are really testing how they want to do this, and there is a bill. The Senate passed a measure on a statewide ban called Bell to Bell. Senate passed it in July. The House is reviewing it right now. In Watertown, they are using technology, a tap-in technology called Doorman, which disables Snapchat, Instagram, all of those things from kids' phones, still allows for the immediate or the emergency communication or any academic tools. 2 questions, and I know we've talked about cell phone bans in the past, but number one, what are you doing right now for those who say we need to limit the distractions in class? Because in Watertown, they're saying engagement is up. Some parents are saying it's a little bit of an overreach. But what are you doing right now to contain or to mitigate that distraction? And 2, are you thinking at all about a more structured program like what the state is considering?
We started last school year, so the start of the 24-25, with our own bell-to-bell ban at Sandwich Middle High School. There's been a couple bumps in the road, but by and large, there's a high degree of compliance. I feel like going down the road of some of those technologies to jam up operations, or there's some school districts that they've gone to these what are they called, Yoder pouches, right? I feel like that is
a little too much Big Brother.
Yeah, a little heavy-handed, and I do think by and large our kids are really good and they're compliant and they understand it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessary in our context.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about a kid by the name of Breanna.
Okay, Breanna Prindle.
Yes.
Yeah.
She received the Mass Certificate of Academic Excellence Award.
Yep.
And she was recognized for her academic excellence, creativity, and community impact. When you think about, and congratulations to Breanna.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's a terrific kid.
That is terrific. When you think about her accomplishments, what bumped her to the top of that list?
The one that I cited, I think I put this on social media, but I also talked about it when she got her presentation. She got the award the other night, a school committee. She's the founder and president over the last 4 or 5 years of something called the Mental Health Advocacy Project, where it's her and a group of students in this extracurricular club that they just do the little things, literally all 800 or so kids at the middle high school during exams, during midterms and final exams, get a handwritten note. And the handwritten note, the basic theme of it is, you matter, you count, your well-being is everything. And so, you can go through the high school and you see things like body positivity posters or just those types of reminders.
Yeah.
But they, as I also noted, they've done some things, reaching out to the folks that work at the sandwich food pantry, doing thank you notes to sandwich police officers.
Yeah.
So just those little things, I think, make a huge difference because they're really about connection.
Yeah.
And Breanna is, the brain trust behind all of it.
So she's actually a symbol of excellence.
Yeah.
But what a great lesson for the other students.
Absolutely.
To take on to recognize that. That's fantastic. Well, congratulations to Breanna.
Well, very well deserved.
Yeah. So we have a new feature that I'm rolling out. I just told Joe about this now. It's called the Dr. Joe Lightning Round.
Okay.
I've unabashedly stolen this from podcasts, from TV shows.
Yeah, Felger and Maz do this as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions.
Yep.
You don't know the questions. I don't know the answers. But I'm going to ask these and we're going to wrap the show with this. So number 1, favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
I'm so embarrassed to admit this, and I just watched this the other night. Golden Bachelor.
No.
I'm going to blame it on my wife.
All right.
Because she had it on.
Blame it on her.
I pretty much watched all of it, yeah.
Okay, all right. Last concert you went to?
I went to, in September, Dee Dee and I, we saw Elvis Costello.
Oh.
At the MGM Fenway. It was outstanding.
Allison. I like that.
Know this world.
If you had to go back to school tomorrow, K through 12, which grade would you pick?
Oh, that's a great grade. I think I would pick grade 5. That was a really good year for me, and I just think it's a wonderful age.
What cafeteria food do you secretly still miss?
I loved the everyday, every Friday square pizza. Like you could still buy it at Elio's,
Elio's,
I guess.
yeah.
I used to get that every Friday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite teacher growing up?
Probably, I'm going to have to send this to him because we're Facebook friends, but I had a high school teacher by the name of Joe Zabilski. I had him for AP US History and then Western Philosophy. He was brilliant, a little insane, funny as anything, but he made me a better thinker and made me a better writer.
Awesome. The first name of your first crush?
Wow. Debbie.
Debbie.
Yeah.
All right. What's one school rule that little Joey broke?
Oh, I was a rule follower, though.
If it involves cigarettes, you're out of here.
No, I've always found them to. no gum chewing, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who would play you in a movie about your life?
I think this actor's name is Greg Germain.
Okay.
And most people do not know him. But you remember what on Facebook, this was years ago, like find your celebrity doppelganger?
Yeah.
I think me and this guy look a lot like he played Ally McBeal's boss.
Oh,
His name's
I know.
Greg Germain.
Holy Mother of Lord. You look just like him.
Yeah, so...
Oh my gosh.
And not too long ago, the last season, he did a guest shot on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
He played a doctor. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, Taylor Swift or Bruce Springsteen?
Oh, that's no-brainer, Bruce.
Okay.
He's the boss.
If you could add, last question, number 10, if you could add one totally new class to your curriculum just for fun, what would it be?
Wow, that's a great class. It would probably be some type of culinary arts, creative cooking.
Creative cooking.
Yeah.
I like that.
First off, I think all kids need that skill.
Yeah.
But secondly, have fun with it.
I did take home economics when I was in school.
Like,
Yeah.
today we're going to make toast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I had
And
it back in the day as well.
I'll tell you, I look pretty damn good in an apron.
I'm sure you do.
I'm just saying.
I'm sure you do.
Hey, Joe, it is a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
It is a pleasure.
Likewise.
We are in what, season 4?
Season 4, has Paramount Plus picked us up yet or something?
I think we're waiting for Paula to tell us what the ratings are, so
Yeah.
we'll see. Joe, my friend, good to see you.
Likewise.
All right, all of you, we will see you soon for another edition, another episode of Ask the Soup. See you soon.